Hi guys, welcome back. Some of you maybe for the second time today. Most of you probably not. Oh yay, Callum! Yeah, Callum, this is going to be a shock to your system. So yeah, this is a level 3 that we'll get started on in just a couple moments here. Level 3 for any of you who did the level 3 last Monday. It's pretty tough. I don't go into a whole lot of detail, at least not the more basic detail of postures that I would typically go into, such as like simple foot placements and stuff like that. Like I will, quite often give you the posture name and then just kind of like a couple of tips to get into the posture. And then I'll just let you hang out there and let you take a couple deep breaths in that posture before we move on. We are going to work on crow pose quite a bit, which is your arm balance bakasana. We are going to work on that a little bit tonight. It will be tough. So I'm going to we'll start the class. We'll do just a basic crow pose. It probably won't have a whole lot of direction to it, but then a few moments after that, I'll go into a bit more direction on bakasana and how to get into it. And then at that same point, I'm also going to take you into more challenging, not necessarily variations of it, but just ways to challenge bakasana crow pose, make it harder for yourself, and kind of like challenge your control in the posture. And then later on in the class, I will give you a more challenging variation of bakasana, which you'll be able to take if you want to or not. The arm balances, as I've said in the past for last Monday, is, I'm just watching. Yes, you can watch. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, the arm balances, like I said last Monday, you don't have to take them. You can just skip them and just stay in the posture from before it. And I think that should be it. Practicing at home, it's a good chance to try some things out. The whole class is not crow pose, so don't worry. There's plenty of other stuff going on. But I am putting a little bit of focus and intention into that posture tonight. Yeah, so just do what you can like we did last week. As I said, we'll move a little bit quicker, modify where you need to. If you find that you get out of breath, take child's pose and just rest in child's pose until you feel ready to jump back in. You can skip vinyasas whenever you need to. Just completely cut them out and just go straight back into downward facing dog. I am pretty sore tonight. I did a workout for the first time yesterday in like a week or two, and it was only body weight. I didn't use any weight, but there was like push-ups and air squats in it and a good number of them, and I'm feeling it. I'm a bit sore in my shoulders and chest and a bit sore in my quads. So I don't know how this is going to go for me, but we'll test it out and we'll get through it. So on that note, here we go. As usual, you might want to have a block around you. It might not be something that you need, but it's a good thing to have just in case your body wants to throw you a curveball at any point and say, hey, this is a little bit too hard for me right now. I need some help. So blocks and everything are always there. If you're using music, go ahead and get that queued up. If you're using one of my yoga playlists, don't start it just yet. If you give let us get out of child's pose and move through the cow and cats. And once we've gone through those, then hit play on the music. But if you're using some other playlist, then just you can start it right now if you want to. Okay, here we go. Child's pose, please. Any variation. And you're just going to take maybe 10 breaths, 5 to 10 breaths. Allowing that breathing to be your focus. I mentioned this morning that I don't really change up the beginnings of my classes very much, because it should be an opportunity for you just to settle in and let your focus come onto your breathing, rather than having to be concerned too much with complicated postures and changes. Take maybe another 5 breaths here. Long inhales, expanding the body. And deep exhales, contracting the body.
If you've got a few more breaths there, take them, take your time. And when you're ready, when you feel settled, an inhale will bring you up into tabletop position. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Take a deep breath through the nose, grounding through the knuckles. And coming into cow tilt. Inhale, drop the belly, lift your chest, gaze comes up. Exhale, cat's tilt, round the spine. And again, inhale, lifting the chest, opening the front of your body by engaging the back of your body. Exhale, round, opening the back of your body by engaging the front. 3 more. Just getting used to this movement with your breath. Figuring out what pace your breath wants to go at. And letting your body match that pace. Once your final exhale is completed, come back to neutral inhale. Tuck your toes under. Downward facing dog. Lift the knees, lift the hips, reach the chest back. Take 5 breaths here. Stillness if it feels good, movement if you need it. Maybe walking the dog a bit. Any other movement if it's needed. Your head might want a little bit of movement. Your neck needs maybe a little something. And then start to bring yourself back to stillness, downward facing dog. Look between the hands. Legs might be able to stay straight. You might need to bend the knees a little bit. Start to tiptoe the feet to the top of the mat, shifting some weight into your hands. Hips stay high until the feet are underneath the hips. Feet are separated a little bit. Knees are bent. Relax the upper body. Arms can hang or you can interlace them. And again, just take a bit of movement here. Head might shake a bit, no. Maybe yes. Your upper body might sway a little side to side. And then come back to stillness at the center. Release the arms if they're bound. Keep the knees bent and roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. Your feet can heel toe towards one another. Big toes might touch. We're going to move through Surya Namaskara A. Modify if you need to. Knees can be on the mat. I will give you those modifications when we get there. Take a deep breath. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips, hands towards the mat. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Hands can be on your shins. Back to plank. Exhale, plant the palms. Step or jump the feet back if you're ready for it. First option, knees are down. Second option, knees are lifted. Chaturanga, bend the elbows. Belly stays lifting as you lower. Inhale. First option, cobra. Second option, upward facing dog with straight arms. Take a couple deep breaths here in up dog. Find the power of your legs. Find the opening of your chest. When you're ready, downward facing dog, lift through your belly as you send the hips back. Just 2 more deep breaths here. Ground through the knuckles. Reach back and up through your sit bones. Last one. Then inhale, look forward, step or jump the feet between the hands. Lift the chest halfway. Exhale, fold. To standing with a flat back. Inhale, lift the chest, lifting the arms, lift your gaze. Exhale, arms by your sides. Surya Namaskara A, once again. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, inhale. Chaturanga, exhale, plant the palms, step or float the feet back. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Downward facing dog, exhale. 3 breaths. One more here. Coming to the top of the mat, look forwards, step or float the feet. Lift the chest. Exhale, fold. Again, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, plant your palms, lunge your left foot to the back of your mat into a lunge. Your right heel is grounded under the knee, left palm is down, right arm turns up, twist. 2 or 3 breaths, lengthen forwards and back through the crown of your head forwards, through the back heel. Then lift a little taller, take 1 more. Downward facing dog, 3-legged downward facing dog. Hands to the mat, right heel kicks back. Take 1 more here. Lengthen. Crescent lunge. Right foot, floating foot between the hands, both arms overhead. Take a second, ground into your feet. Your depth here isn't from dropping your hips, it's from lengthening the space between the legs. Into a fold. Exhale, hands down. Left foot steps up to meet the right. Inhale, flat back. Other side. Exhale, plant the palms, right leg lunges back. Right hand is down. When you're ready, left arm reaches up. Take a couple more here, thinking about your left hip, the hip of your front leg, moving back and down. And then the right hip is coming forwards and up just a little bit. Last one. 3-legged down dog. Left hand down, left heel kicks back. 1 or 2 more breaths here. Reach through the hips. Crescent lunge when you're ready. Left foot forwards, ground into the legs, lift the arms. Just 1 or 2 more here. Lifting from the hips all the way up through the chest. Keep that length, come into your fold. Exhale, hands down, right foot up to meet the left. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands to your hips. Inhale all the way up to standing, lift the chest. Arms down by your sides. So we're going to move through Surya Namaskara B here. You will have the option to take Bakasana, crow pose, right at the start. It will come after your chair pose. And after your fold. So we'll do inhale, Utkatasana, chair. We will then fold. You will then prepare to either go into crow pose or step or float straight back through your vinyasa. This is your first arm balance option if you're going to take it. Again, if you're going to skip it, you're just going to go straight back through your vinyasa and wait in downward facing dog. Take a breath. Utkatasana. Inhale, bend your knees, sweep the arms, chair pose. Exhale, fold, hinge at the hips, hands towards the mat. So these are your options, moving through a vinyasa or into crow. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, if you're taking Bakasana, plant the palms, knees onto your triceps, shift forwards, toes float. If you're skipping it, you're going through your vinyasa. If you took it, step or float the feet back, chaturanga. Inhale in cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward face. Warrior 1, spin your left heel into 45 degrees, right foot between the hands, both arms overhead. Hips turning forwards a little bit, find that grounding in your back outer edge of the foot. 1 more. Down dog or a vinyasa. Exhale, hands down, right foot steps back. Other side. Right heel spins in, left foot between the hands, arms overhead. Again, find that power in your legs. Find the opening of your upper body. Down dog or a vinyasa. Exhale, hands down, left foot steps back. Take 2 or 3 breaths. An inhale, look forwards to the top of the mat, step or float. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Chair pose, inhale, bend the knees, sweep the arms up. Strong shoulders, biceps next to the ears. Next exhale, come to standing all the way up, arms down by your sides. Well done.
Back into chair pose. Inhale, bend the knees, sweep the arms. Pelvis is tucked under a bit. Belly is really strong. Sit a little bit deeper. And then a little bit deeper. And then a little bit deeper. And then eventually all the way down into a seat. Hands underneath your thighs. Gracefully as possible. If you've got neighbors underneath you, you would like to be graceful enough that they did not hear you come down onto the mat. Coming into Navasana. Chest is lifted, shoulders are back. Lean back into your sit bones. Eventually the toes will float. First option, they stay. Second option, toes float, shins are parallel to the mat. Next option, arms release, reaching them forwards. Final option, legs straighten. I will not be joining you with legs straight today. Take one more deep breath here. Then first option, continue to hold it. Second option, 3 Ardha Navasanas if you're taking them, moving with me. Inhale, Ardha Navasana, lengthen the body. Heels and shoulders float. Exhale, Navasana, bring your legs back up. You can do this with straight legs as well. Inhale, Ardha, lengthen. Exhale, Navasana. Last one, inhale. Exhale. And then relax, draw the knees into your chest. Now, next one you're gonna do is pretty fun. Again, gracefully as possible, preferably so that the neighbors underneath you don't know that you're practicing yoga, or at least don't think that you're doing construction work. You're gonna roll back, create a bit of momentum, maybe with a couple rocks, and eventually land back on your feet. So what it's gonna look like is this. You might roll a couple times, create a bit of momentum until eventually you will land on your feet and then into a fold. So all together now, roll back, use your feet to kind of swing you forwards, throw your chest out in front of you one more time, feet underneath you, chest is forwards, hips are lifted. Just use your hands if you didn't quite get there. So you're back into a fold now. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Heel toe your feet, hips width apart. Bend the knees a little bit here. Padangusthasana. Your peace sign fingers, middle and index fingers. Grab your big toes, palms face inwards. Press down into your big toes. Inhale, flat back, lengthen. Keep the length, fold. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Folding in, belly reaches your thighs. So from here, straight legs isn't your first priority. First priority is belly to the thighs. Bend the knees if you need to in order to create that. Elbows are pulling out towards the sides here. Take 1 or 2 more breaths. The knees might start to move back, lengthening the backs of the legs. Last one. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Exhale, heel toe the feet back together. Back to chair pose. Inhale, bend the knees, sweep the arms. Again, pelvis tucks under. Shoulders are strong to pull the biceps up next to the ears without letting your ribs collapse forwards. Pull them back in. One more. Back to your fold. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, heel to the feet, hips width apart. Padahastasana. Hands slide underneath your feet. Now you can return to Padangusthasana, grabbing your big toes if this one is a little bit too much. Hands underneath the feet, your toes working towards your wrists. They might not get all the way there. Press through the toes. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold. Again, knees might bend. Belly reaching to the thighs. Crown of the head, that top flat piece on your head is reaching down. 2 more. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Exhale, release the bind of the hands. Heel toe the feet together. Back to chair. Inhale, bend the knees, sweep the arms. We're just warming up, right? Half chair, Ardha Utkatasana. Hinge deeper at the hips, reaching the fingers straight forwards, hips straight back. Your gaze is coming down so your biceps stay next to your ears. See if you can get your belly onto your thighs. Knees are back over the ankles. Take 1 more. Hands to the mat. Release the hips all the way down to your heels. Heels might lift up off of the mat here. Now, you're coming into Malasana, garland pose. From here, start to walk your hands forwards to begin. Hands coming forwards doesn't mean that you're bringing weight into your hands. Your hips are still pulling back and away from you. Hands moving forwards, chest coming inside of your thighs. The knees can drift apart here a bit. First option, stay right there. Second option, take a bind. If you want the bind, your triceps will go underneath your shins. So your biceps are not on your thighs, you're not over the knees. It's tricep to shin.
And then you're either grabbing the heels or the tops of your thighs. Wherever you are, 2 or 3 more breaths. Hips pulling back, chest is moving forwards. Last one. And then release. Release the binds. Now we're going back into crow pose here. So you can take a little rest for a second. My hips felt that quite a bit. So as I said right before we started the practice, I'm going to give you a couple little pointers here. I'm going to talk you into crow pose first, then we'll rest. Then I will talk you into, I'll do 2 more talking you into a couple different more challenging variations of crow pose. So this is going to be interesting because usually I'll show it and then I'll teach it and I'll see what happens. So I don't have that option tonight, but we'll give it a go and see what happens. So crow pose to start. Your hands are set up, your arms are set up very similarly to chaturanga. Chaturanga, your elbow is stacked just on top of your wrist and your shoulders come forwards of that. Now in chaturanga, you do go to about 90 degrees in the elbows if you can get there. You won't go quite that far here in Bakasana. So what you're gonna do is set up your hands shoulder width apart. Go ahead, do that. You can do this along with me and we can rest at the same time. So hands are about shoulder width apart. Walk your feet closer up towards you and then bend the elbows straight back. So just like in chaturanga, they're not out to the side, they're pointing straight back. Then set your knees onto your triceps, not shins to triceps, knees to triceps. It won't feel great. Now look out in front of you. So your chest is pulling forwards, but your belly is lifting up. Then start to bring your elbows forwards over your wrists. So you're now stacking your forearms. Again, that's going to bring the weight into your hands. First option, stay right there. Second option, 1 toe lifts. And final option, both toes lift up off of the mat. You are in crow. Elbows pointing back, knees squeezing in, belly lifting up, chest reaching forwards. Go ahead, release. So your first option is going to be to do the same thing again. Same thing. As I said, we're going to do 2 more tests of this. First option, do the same thing if you're still trying to find your balance point in crow. Next option, if you have crow pose, is to play around with the angle of the elbow. So I just said we're talking about how much bend there is in the elbow. So what you're going to work on doing is straightening the elbow and then bending it again while you're balancing on your hands. So if you're going back into your regular crow fight, trying to find that balance, start going there now. If you're taking this next variation, same setup, knees to the triceps. Start to bring the elbows forwards over your wrists, lift your toes. Now the elbows want to come forwards as your chest lifts a little bit. Elbows forwards over the fingers, over the knuckles, and then you can bend them back again. And then do that maybe 1 or 2 more times. Elbows forwards and then back. If you've got it in you, do 1 more. You might not. And then when you've had that, you can go ahead, take a little rest again. So we're going to do 1 more. This next one is really tough, so I'm not going to talk through it. I'm going to demonstrate. I might say a couple of things. I can't really stop myself from talking these days. So you're working towards a 1-legged crow pose, which would have 1 knee on the tricep and the other leg floating out behind you. Now to do that, this next variation will bring you into crow pose and then float 1 knee off of the tricep, but you're just pulling that knee up into your chest, right? So if, once again, you're just working on crow, go ahead, go there now. If you're working on that last variation of crow with the control of the arm position, go ahead, do that. If you're gonna work on the 1-legged Bakasana, you have 2 sides, so you'll get to do this twice, and you're gonna see if you can put that knee back onto your tricep if you can get there. So into crow. And again, I'm doing that final variation, so if you're not doing this 3rd variation, you can ignore everything that I'm about to say. Lift up through the belly, really pull up into your belly, drive down into your right knee, pull the left knee into your chest. Left knee back, and then the right knee into your chest. And right knee back, and then release. So they're tough variations. If you want 1 more go at any of those, go ahead and do that. I'm not going to stop you, at least not from here. If you've had enough of that, we're going to move through a vinyasa. So when you're ready, hands to the mat, just step or float back. If you want 1 more crow, you can take that. Exhale down to chaturanga. Inhale to cobra or up dog. Use your breath. Downward facing dog. Exhale. And again, if you're still getting there, take your time. If you're already there and you're ready to move forwards, we're coming into warrior two. So step your right foot forwards between your hands. Spin your back heel all the way in and down. Windmill the arms up. Warrior two. So front knee, a little bit out of your pinky toe. Back leg, you're pressing into the outer edge of your foot, keeping the back leg strong. Take one more here. Extended side angle. Bring your right forearm down onto your right thigh. Your left arm reaches overhead to the front wall. If you have other variations here, you're welcome to take them. Right hand can slide down. You can bind if you would like to. You've got 3 breaths. Wherever you are, front knee is out. Top ribs roll up. Last breath. Up to the top. Inhale, lift up through the top arm. Straighten the front leg. Triangle pose. Inhale, reach forwards as far as you can. Again, first goal here is length. Length in this inside, in the inside of your front leg. Length from your right hip to your right shoulder. Once you can't get any further, right hand is down, left arm is up. 2 or 3 breaths. Last one. Back to warrior two. Bend your front knee, reach up through the top arm. Now your front toes are going to turn in about 45 degrees. Palms to prayer at your chest center. Coming into Skandasana. Start to bend your right knee. So those front toes that have just turned in, that knee is going to bend, sending your hips down, back toes turn up, back leg is still straight, right elbow inside of your right knee, chest is lifted. A couple of things might be happening here. You might be feeling something inside of your back leg. You might be feeling your right hip. You might be feeling your chest or something. Take 2 more breaths. Lift the chest up, drive this front knee out. Last one. Come back up to standing. Drive through this right leg. Lift the chest up. Back foot spins down. Both toes are turned in. Prasarita Padottanasana A. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold. Hinge at the hips. Hands can be on the thighs, the shins, the mat. They can walk back. If you have a tripod headstand, you're welcome to go there as well. Taking, say, 5 breaths here. Pressing into the outer edges of your feet. Engage your legs to straighten them out, getting more length in the backs of them. Let's say 1 or 2 more here. If you're floating, go ahead, start to come back down. And then everybody inhale, flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the hips. Inhale all the way up, lifting the chest. You're going to turn to the back of your mat now. Spin your left toes back. Your hips are still facing the left side of your mat. Left knee bends. Arms reach forwards and back, warrior two. Be aware here as you've transitioned that your hips haven't collapsed. Back hip wants to be level with your front hip. Take maybe 3 more breaths. Pressing into the outer edge of your back foot so that that back leg hasn't collapsed forwards either. 1 more. Extended side angle. When you're ready, left forearm to your left thigh. Right arm reaching overhead towards the back of your mat. Again, options if you took them on the first side, your bottom hand can slide down, you can bind. Your left hip is open here, making sure you've not closed this space off. You want it as open as possible. The top shoulder rolls up. 1 more. Back to the top. Inhale, lift up through that right arm. Straighten your left leg. Trikonasana. Inhale, reach back this time. Reaching out over your left toes. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Eventually, left hand down. Right arm up. Deep breaths. Now as you reach forwards through your chest, make sure you're not taking your rib cage out with you. Pull the ribs back in. Keep your belly strong and supportive. Last one here. Back to warrior two. Bend your left knee, reach up through the right hand. Your left toes, your back toes, spin into about 45 degrees. Palms to prayer. Skandasana. Start to bend your left knee so your hips are moving towards the back of your mat. As you come down, your right toes spin up towards the ceiling. Your left tricep is driving into the inside of your left leg here. You might have to adjust your stance a bit. Some of you, I found I had a lot of trouble getting into this posture when I first was introduced to it, and then I found that I just needed a longer stance. So you might just need to widen your feet a little further apart. Take 2 more. Lift through the chest, drive that left knee back. And then strong legs, back up into your straddle. Push through that left foot, lift the chest, spin those right toes down. Coming back into Prasarita Padottanasana C this time. Take the hands behind your back, interlace the fingers. Inhale, reach back through the knuckles, lifting your chest. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips. Hinging all the way through and then pulling the knuckles away from your lower back. Deep breaths. Your triceps are active to help straighten out the arms. Your shoulders are active to pull the arms out. 1 or 2 more. And then pulling through the knuckles. Inhale, halfway lift up. Exhale, release the bind hands to the hips. Inhale all the way up to standing. Come to the top of your mat. Turn the right toes forwards. Step the left foot up to meet the right. Arms by your sides. Surya Namaskara A. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Vinyasa. Exhale, plant the palms, step or float back. Inhaling to lift. Exhale, draw back. Child's pose. Everybody, knees down, hips back. Relax the upper body. When you are ready, downward facing dog. Matter of fact, set your knees back down to the mat. I'm going to explain this next little bit again. Not again, but I'm going to explain again for the new next little bit. So, as I said, right when we started, we're working on crow, and we're going to do a more challenging variation of crow. Now, as we were just working on crow a moment ago, I was giving you those final variations were kind of like a precursor to prepare your body for going into one-legged crow. That's what we're going to work on now. You will have the option to skip the arm balance, which will be, again, just stopping in the posture right before, which will be kind of in a 3-legged plank with your right knee pulling up towards your right tricep, really engaging your belly, lifting that belly, up and in. And we're using this as like an ab position or ab work, because a lot of his posture is just stability in your core. So here we go. Prepare to work. This is going to be tough. Back into downward facing dog. Not a whole lot that's going to happen here. We're just really going to move into that one position. I'm not going to tire you out before you get there. 3-legged down dog, right leg lifts up. Big inhale for length. Then exhale, bring your right knee to your right tricep. First option, stay there, hold it. Second option, bend the elbows, right knee onto your tricep, shift the weight and float. Woo, your left leg. Take it back when you've had enough. Some of you are not going to hold that for very long, like myself. Right foot to the back of your mat and child's pose. So again, it's a quick transition. We're not going to hold that for a long time. Part of that reason being because I cannot speak for that long and I can't hold it for that long. So we're moving right into the other side, and we're going to give the other side a bash. Like I said, just a little bit of fun. It's a good chance to try things out without, the fear of tucking and rolling out of it and taking out your neighbor on the mat next to you. Go ahead, send it back into downward facing dog again. Inhale, 3-legged dog, left leg lifts up. Exhale, bring the left knee to your left elbow. First option, stay. Second option, elbow onto your tricep. Bend the elbows and shift. Knee onto your tricep, When you've had enough, release. You can take a vinyasa if you'd like. You might wind up in chaturanga with kind of involuntarily. Eventually back to downward facing dog. When you're ready, come to the top of your mat. Look forwards, step or jump the feet forwards. Lift the chest halfway. Exhale, fold. Coming to standing with a flat back. Inhale, lift the chest. Continuing, lift the arms and the gaze. Exhale, arms by your sides. So we're almost there. You're almost at the end of the particularly tough part of this. We're gonna do one more bit, which was gonna be, it's gonna be one-legged balancing. So I'll give you another arm balance at the end of this, another arm balance option at the end of this. Again, you can take it or you can skip it. So from here, shift the weight over into your left leg. Just kidding. Shift the weight over into your right leg and draw your left knee up towards you, wrapping the hands around your right shin. Left shin, excuse me. Left leg is floating. Now from here, chest is lifted. Your pelvis is neutral, so it's not shoved back and it's not tucked under a huge amount. You're just in a neutral position, long spine. Find a little bit of a back bend. Lift your chest. Let the hips start to tip forwards as the upper body goes back. So you're taking that knee with you a little bit, but also your floating knee, your left knee, is kind of driving into the hands to make sure that all of your weight isn't going back over the back edge of your mat. Take one more. Back up into standing, into your balance. Take your time. First option, hands underneath your thigh. Second option, left peace sign fingers onto your left big toe, right hand onto your hip. If you have the hands under your thigh, you can leave the leg bent or you can straighten it out. Start to move your left leg out to the side. Take the left leg over to the left side of the mat. Keep the chest lifting, keep your hips facing forwards. Left glute is active here, helping to pull the leg out to the side. Then bring it back to the center. You're almost there. You're coming into a figure four with your legs. So you're gonna bend your left knee and set your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Your standing leg bends a little bit to create a shelf with the thigh to set your ankle on top of. So your left ankle is on top of your right thigh. So this is kind of like pigeon pose, right? Go ahead, start to sit back and down into your hips. Hands can be on your hips, hands can be at prayer at your chest center, whatever feels best for you. Keep sitting back. Hips towards the back of your mat. First option, stay, keep folding. Second option, flying pigeon, your final arm balance actually, before we do it on the other side. And if you're taking that final arm balance, triceps come underneath your shins. So your left tricep is next to your left knee. Your right tricep is hooked in with your ankle. Hands to the mat. Shift the weight into your hands. Push that left shin into your triceps. Float your back foot. Maybe your back toes lift as well. When you've had enough, return to that standing position. And then release. Everybody all the way back up to standing. Release the arms, release the feet onto your mat. You're almost there. One more on the other side. So, shift the weight over into your left leg. Draw the right knee up towards you. Hands wrap around your right shin. Again, just find a really tall, neutral position for your spine. Then start your back bend. Slowly, your hips go forwards a bit as your chest lifts up and you're reaching back through your upper back. You're pulling your upper back up and then pulling it towards the back edge of your mat. Take another 2 or 3 here. When you've had enough, come back up to the top. And then find that next bind for a straight or straight-ish right leg. Either hands under your thigh or right fingers onto your right big toe. Bring that right shoulder back. Notice if your right shoulder collapses forwards to get the bind, pull it back again. Then start to take the right leg out to the side, slowly taking the foot away from the front. Your right hip is still moving forwards. One more here. Bring the leg back to the center. Start to find that figure four. So release the bind, bend your standing leg, right ankle on top of your left thigh. Ankle is flexed, knee is drawing down. Palms can be at prayer or at your hips. Start to sit back and down, feeling that opening in your glutes. Again, first option, stay here. Keep sitting back while the chest is lifting. Second option, arm balance. Triceps underneath your shins. This hook of your foot is really important. Make sure the ankle is flexing so the toes are hooking onto that tricep. Once you have that set up, shift your weight forwards, float your back toes, maybe the back leg lifts up as well. Returning when you've had enough, if you were taking that balance, palms to prayer. Everybody release. Go ahead, stand up, feet to the mat, arms by your sides. Well done. Moving through a final vinyasa. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold, hinge at the hips, hands towards the mat. Inhale, flat back, open. Vinyasa. Plant the palms, step or float back. Cobra or up dog. And back to down dog. Inhale, right foot to the outside of your right hand. Drop the back knee down onto your mat. Finding an open lizard pose. Your right toes are going to turn out a little bit. Right hand onto your right knee. Drive the right knee away from you. Let your hips drop forwards. Chest is lifted. And then your gaze goes back over your right shoulder. First option, stay. Second option, bend your back knee. Grab a hold of your left toes with the right hand. 2 or 3 more breaths. And then release. Come back around to the center, Hanumanasana. Turn your right toes forwards again. Start to straighten out your right leg. Flex your right ankle. Adjust your hand positioning if you need to. They can come to your hips or your thigh, or they can stay on the mat. You can stay here with your feet shortened, or you can lengthen your stance, sliding the front heel forwards, walking the back knee away from you. 2 or 3 more breaths, folding if you would like to. Last one. Downward facing dog. Release, stepping or floating that right leg back. Other side. Left foot to the outside of your left hand. Drop the back knee down. So that opened lizard lunge again. Left toes turn out a bit. Drive the left knee away from your chest. Hips drop forwards. Chest lifts up. So you've created this big arch through the front of your body. Then left shoulder takes it back. First option, stay. Second option, reach back to grab a hold of your right toes. Two more here. And then release. Come back around to the center. Hanumanasana. So your front toes face forwards. Start to straighten out that front leg. Flex your front ankle. Either stay or lengthen and or fold. When you've had enough, back to downward facing dog. Once again, probably your last time. If you need a final vinyasa here, you're welcome to take it. Otherwise, that last one that we took will be perfectly enough. If you are taking it, go ahead and move through it. If you're going to skip it, you can start preparing to come all the way through into a seat. Inhale, step or jump all the way up and through. Have a seat on the mat. Those of you who chose the vinyasa, just join us when you're ready. Legs out in front. Paschimottanasana. Heels kicking forwards. Inhale, lift your chest, reach forwards, fold. Exhale, hinge at the hips, hands towards your legs somewhere. Shins, ankles, or the feet. So your pelvis wants to actually tip back here. Usually we talk about tucking your pelvis under in order to support your lower back. But here we're trying to lengthen the backs of the legs. So tipping your pelvis away from you will pull the hamstrings a little bit longer. Take another 2 or 3. And then release. Come on back up to the top. Bend your right knee up towards you. Right knee bends. Whatever's most comfortable. We're coming into a twist here, so you can leave the right foot inside of your leg, or you can set the right foot on the outside of your leg. Wherever it is, it needs to be grounded. That sole of the foot needs to press down into the mat. So whatever works best. First option, left arm around the front of your right leg. Second option, tricep to the outside of your thigh. Right hand to the mat behind you. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, twist. Maybe just 2 more here. And then release. Come on back to the center. Kick both legs straight out in front of you. Take an easy fold just for like maybe 2 breaths. Inhale, open, exhale, fold. And then come on back up to the top, lift the chest, other side. Bend your left knee up towards you. Set your left foot on the outside of your right thigh, or on the inside, excuse me. I did give you that option. So whatever option you took on the first side, take the same one here. Again, just make sure that left foot is grounded. Right leg is still strong, that's a base. Twist. First option, right arm around the leg. Second option, tricep outside of it. Left hand behind you, lift first, and then turn. Your grounding happens first, your length happens next, your depth happens last. You want to set the base, give yourself some space, and then you can move deeper. 2 more. When you've had enough of that, release back to the center. Draw both knees up into your chest. And then just give yourself some space on your mat. You might have to turn like I'm going to have to, and bring your legs out into a straddle. Whatever distance for your straddle works for you. Some of you are going to go a little bit narrower with your feet. Some of you will go a bit wider. Any is fine. Into Upavishta Konasana. Inhale, lift your chest, reach forwards. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips, hands towards the mat out in front of you. Now your hands can keep walking out in front of you. You can drop to the forearms. You can also grab a hold of your legs if that feels more comfortable. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a deeper variation, just a matter of preference. So you've got maybe 3 to 5 here. Kick out through your heels and think about the tops of your thighs rolling back a little bit to give your hips more space so you can come forwards. Just 2 more. And when you've had enough, release. Come back up to the top. Come back around to the front. So just draw both knees up into your chest. So we're going to finish up. Again, if you need one final vinyasa, you're welcome to take it. Otherwise, just come down onto your back. And those of you who are choosing the vinyasa, roll forwards, step or float back, chaturanga, up dog, down dog. Hopefully not at that pace. Everybody else, knees are into your chest. Those of you who chose the vinyasa, come through into a seat and then onto your back when you've completed. And then moving into bridge pose. Feet to the mat. Heels just out of reach of your fingers. Feet are grounded, palms pressed down. Bridge. Ground through the feet, lifting your hips. Shoulders walk together. Hands maybe interlace underneath you if it feels nice. And the chest is opening. This is going to be the only back bend that we do this evening at the end here. So if you have any other variations you'd like to go into, you're welcome to find them. Like full wheel or any other binds that you'd like to take. Take maybe another 2 or 3 breaths. Let the opening of the chest happen by driving through the legs, sending your chest a little further back. When you've had enough, release any binds you've taken. Separate the shoulder blades. Upper back comes onto the mat first. Middle back rolls down next. Lower back rolls down last. Then draw your right knee into your chest. Wrap the arms around the right leg. The left leg can release if it feels good. Use your breath to find a bit more grounding in your lower back here. And then draw the left knee up towards you and release the right leg long. So you've just switched sides. And release your left leg as well. So both legs are going to go long to the mat here. Coming into banana pose. Reacquaint yourself with your lefts and rights, if you've maybe forgotten which one is which. Reacquaint yourself with left and right here. Your left leg is going to move maybe about 30 degrees or so out to the left side of your mat.
Your right ankle then crosses on top of your left ankle, and you're kind of hooking the heels towards one another here. Now, your right leg wants to be straight, and your right hip wants to be down. So both hips are on the mat. Your body is still flat. Your legs have just gone off at an angle here now. Then take your arms overhead and grab your right wrist with your left hand. So your left hand is going to take a hold of that right wrist. Then pull your right arm across to the left side. Your shoulders are going to shimmy over a little bit as well. So what you've done here, your hands and feet have moved to the same side. They're both going out to the left. What you've done is you've created this big arch in the right side of your body, working for length from your right heel through the outside of your right leg, through the right ribs, through the shoulder, all the way up to your right hand. Take just another maybe 2 or 3 breaths. And then release. Release the upper body. And release the lower body back to the center. And you're just coming into the other side. Set your right leg about 45 degrees or so off to the right side of your mat. Your left ankle crosses on top of it. Hook the ankles together so there is some engagement in your legs here. Reach the arms up. Your right hand grabs your left wrist and then pulls that left arm across to the right side. Again, shimmying the body over a bit if you need to. Just a few more breaths into this side. You can think about your lower ribs drawing back down towards the mat here. That might help give you a little bit more information. And then go ahead, release. Come back to the center. Draw the knees into your chest. And then release the knees. Set the feet to the mat once again. Setting up your twists. Send your hips to the right side of your mat. Now I'm going to give you a couple options here. For those of you who've practiced with me before, which I'm assuming most of you have, your first 2 options are your typical options that we always do. Having your knees together being your first one, or crossing your right leg on top of your left. If you know that you love one of those options, take it. Otherwise, I am going to give you a deeper variation. If you're going to take the deeper variation, draw your right knee up into your chest and release your left leg long. We're going to take this somewhere. Now, everybody, if you've taken one of the first options, bring both knees into your chest, and either both knees or just this right knee go across to the left here now. So wherever you are, your right hip has come off of the mat. Now, if you're taking one of the first 2 variations, just now drop your gaze out over your right shoulder and relax. If you're going into this further variation, your bottom knee is going to bend so that that left foot comes up behind you. Your right hand is then going to grab, excuse me, your right hand is then going to grab your left foot or left ankle. Then you're working to kick that left foot away from you to draw your right shoulder down towards the mat. So you're getting almost a little bit of a back bend here as you come into the twist. Wherever you are, right hip goes away from the mat, and the right shoulder goes closer to the mat. 2 more. And then release. Come back to the center. Release any binds you've taken. Both knees into your chest. And then set up the other side. So the feet are down. Your hips move a bit to the left. If you're taking the cross-legged variation, it's your left thigh crossing on top of your right. If you're taking one of those first 2 variations, draw the knees in, drop them to the right. If you're taking the third and final variation, draw the left knee in towards you and release your right leg. Take the left knee across to the right side. And then your bottom knee will start to bend
up behind you, foot comes up behind you. Your left hand takes a hold of your right ankle. And then again, working for a little bit of kick here. As you kick through the right heel or right toes, that should bring your left shoulder a little closer to the mat. When you've had enough, release the binds. Go ahead, come back to the center. Draw the knees in. And then prepare your Shavasana. If you need any props, go ahead, grab those. If you have a certain piece of music that you would like on, go ahead, set that. When you're ready, set your body. Any favorite shape that you have, or the legs can go long. Arms can drop by your sides, palms facing upwards. Close your eyes. Shavasana. Release the fingers and the toes. Release the ankles and wrists. The knees and elbows. Let the hips sink down into the mat as the legs flop open away from one another. The shoulders melt down as your breath returns to normal. Your lips may slightly part as you release your jaw, letting the tongue come away from the roof of your mouth. Softening the space between the eyebrows. Softening the space behind the ears. Listening to any sounds that may be around you. Letting them wash over your body. Creating stillness. Watching as your thoughts come in and out through your mind. Letting them finish. Letting them pass. Without creating any attachments to them.
finding the space that exists inside your mind. And finding some peace. Slowly beginning to deepen your breath. Beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circling the ankles and wrists. Rocking the head from side to side. Inhale to reach the arms overhead, reaching long through the fingers and through the toes. Exhale, draw the knees into the belly, wrap the arms around them, giving yourself one last big hug. Rocking from side to side. Eventually winding up on your right hand side, using your right bicep as a pillow, remaining in Shavasana with your eyes closed. And when you're ready, press into your left palm, coming up to any comfortable seated position. Palms may press together at chest center if you choose. May you take only what is offered. Take only what you need and always give more than you take. Stay safe, stay kind, and stay patient. Thank you. Namaste.